Could the central bank cut rates by 650 basis points at a go? That would be very unprecedented.
I don't think so. I think for them, they'll probably, I mean, the monsters of inflation are very, very familiar with them, and they'll be very cautious going down, especially given the challenges they had last year. So I think they'll probably be modest and try to strike a rate which will be sustainable.
And where would that be, somewhere that you consider sustainable?
I think they could potentially do 200 basis points without...
That's conservative.
Yes, certainly. I don't see them getting very aggressive. I think the economy is still in good shape, so there isn't that much need in terms of a very substantial stimulus.
And the shilling is taking a bit of a beating right now. Everybody's waiting for that decision. So yesterday it slipped slightly. 84.20, 84.40 is where it was trading for most of the day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's combined with sort of like the end-month demand.
Yes.
But yes, I mean, there's obviously that sentiment. You know, now you know, some of the investors looking at high interest rates in the Kenyan economy, you know, I think will probably be looking elsewhere in terms of such returns.
Okay, let's talk about the Nairobi Securities Exchange, which was trading for the first time this month, yesterday. And it was a bit of a mixed picture. What stood out for you from that day's trade?
We are seeing quite a bit of interest and sort of mixed demand across the market. So, you know, increasingly we are seeing local institutions looking at the market. So, you know, we think really that's the main driver going into the coming week and probably the next few weeks. And
there's also those speculative investors that are taking profits because the half-year results are just coming in.
Yes, we've seen some element of profit taking. Obviously, for counters which you know, some of the investors are disappointed with, you know, they sort of pulled back those and sort of tried to wait on the companies which have not announced results. And you mentioned Kenya Power, for example. We have Kenya Power and Kenyan with investors expecting results on those.
All right. Kenya Power, because that was one of the companies that dragged down the index, though very marginally, just a quarter of a percentage point. But I want to move on to another energy company, Kenyan. The Daily Nation reporting today that staff may have been forced or coerced into signing a support document for the buyout by Puma. We know that's likely going to get delisted, but there's just almost too much drama around this company right now.
Yes, I mean, I really don't know what went on.
Yes, this is an allegation. We have to say this is a report in the Daily Nation. But this may or may not be true.
I would imagine there's been a lot of lobbying. There was a section of some employees who went to court. I don't know what method they used to lobby to say they represented the employees. Obviously, management, again, you know, are very supportive of the transaction and don't think it will have a major impact in terms of staff numbers. And even if you look at the overlap in terms of Puma Energy and Kenyan, the operations, you know, Kenyan, apart from Tanzania, you know, it's almost entirely a new operation opening up Central and East Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
And it would be important for them to have the staff support this, because as long as this court case is ongoing, Puma would not want to come into this arrangement. So as long as the staff support it, almost that gives it a green light to go ahead.
Yeah, I think eventually this transaction will go through. I mean, if you look at the nature of such transactions, if a shareholder wants to sell their company, there is very little you can actually do, even as an employee, apart from actually taking care of the concerns. But, you know, limiting a shareholder from disposing of their assets, it's not a very likely scenario. And we've seen this Shell, you know, there was that court case, and eventually, you know, Shell actually got to dispose of their holdings, and you know, many similar transactions. Otherwise, you wouldn't have companies looking to list in the market. So, you know, this element of free market is very important to attract new companies also to list to the bourse.
Mumias Sugar had its results out yesterday, a dip of 33% because, well, the market is not looking as good as they had anticipated. What did you make of that?
The first half earnings were actually quite disappointing. In fact, the full year numbers actually showed quite a bit of a recovery,
right.
Meaning that the second half was a lot better than the first half. There was obviously the one-off gain in terms of, if you look at the net profits, the element, it was more or less flat because of the tax credit on the ethanol plant having come into operation. But I think what concerns us the most is the issue of raw cane. How are they able to get the the raw material.
Yes.
And we've seen, you know, farmers, the outgrower community in Western Kenya saying, you know, they want to sell to the highest cane. So
there's all the issues about cane poaching, and the controversy around that just never ends.
Yes, that's the case. I mean, they source almost all their cane from outgrowers. I mean, the turn-up project, which has been long-standing, I mean, that's something that is expected to change that around. But again, you know, there's an element of capital expenditure and, you know, the timing of that project, which has been, has taken quite a long time to kick off.
So hopefully Peter Kebati, who's taking over now after the long-serving Evans Kidero, he's got his work cut out for him pretty well. Yeah,
certainly. It's a challenging industry. We are seeing new players coming in, but obviously, you know, also there's the element of diversification. They've already done a bit of that, but I think a lot more work needs to be done.